Okay, wish you all a very good morning. Uh, Good morning, Pute. Good morning. Uh, Puta, extremely sorry for not being able to conduct the class last week. I think you all can understand the reason, right? Uh, on last Monday, all of us, right? Every citizen in Sri Lanka was in a turmoil, right? Still, right? Everything has not been okay. So, Puta, listen to me. This country belongs to you, hmm? Not for the elders. Right now, their party is over. Hmm? But the elders have a responsibility to create a good and safe country for the young generation. Okay. But I think most of you can understand the politicians, right? They have been, acting in a way, in a disgraceful way, right, for the consent of Sri Lanka. Okay, so however, uh, right, my viewpoint is this. This is my personal viewpoint. Sometimes you might disagree. Uh, I really like to see the youth of the country, right, the way the youth of the country has been changed. Okay, right, most of the time, Puta, the elders, the people who is above 50 years old, right, they did a different politics, different set of politics, where even I am not agree. Right, because they have, uh, they are fixed political parties, right? Okay, that won't work. But today I can see that it is happening in Sri Lanka. Youth have been changed. They want a change. They want a good status of life. They are concentrating more on their talents, abilities, and capabilities rather than the political background, political connections, right? Puta, so you are the people who have to take this country forward. So Pute, my simple advice is, right? I spoke about this, even this in my school with every class, right? Recognize your talents. Recognize your talents, please. Talents එක එක ජාතියව තියෙනවා පුතා. Recognize it and use it for your first use it for your betterment of your life, then use it for the betterment of the society. So with that understanding, let's start the third session of accounting equation. Let me take you to the tutorial. Right. So today we move to calculations, right, based on accounting equation. Puta, today there are, I think, around 19, 20, 21, 22, 4 questions. Now, please observe, these are the types of questions that you will get in the second paper based on the accounting equation, right? And I have to tell you something very important, that is, right, this format is not provided in the paper. You have to draw it. You must draw it. So we'll see, right? Let me teach you how to draw that also, but in the tutorial, for us to keep maintain, right, in order to manage the time we have, I have given you the format, but listen to me. When you answer the paper manually, this table has to be drawn. Now, according to the first question, we have to record these 5 questions in the 5 transactions in the accounting equation. Let me share the Excel sheet. Right? Altogether, there are 5 components in the accounting equation. Right? Office equipment, inventory, cash. Right? Bank loan and equity that represented by capital. Right? Altogether, there is another column, right? 6 columns to record the transaction number also. Out of those things, Pute, out of these things, do you see 3 are assets? And I think you know the accounting equation where assets equals, right? Assets, liabilities plus equity. So that is the format which we have used here. So let me show you how to draw this format. You have to maintain 1 column to record the number of the transaction and 5 columns to record the components of the accounting equation. Okay. So Puta, this have you draw the table, right? Make a Puta adinnona. There are 3 assets. At the top, you should write assets and liabilities, equity. And this is how the format is drawn. First, number, assets, liabilities, equity. This is the order. Now listen to me. When the order is given in the accounting equation, you can't change it, son. You can't change it. Then the assets have been named like this. First asset is office equipment. Office equipment. Then we have another asset, inventory. Inventory. Finally, asset named cash. Then liabilities, we have bank loan, right? That is a liability, right? It is something that has been funded by an external party, and equity, capital. Capital is the amount which have been funded by the owner. Now we'll draw the table like this. There are 5 transactions now. So underneath you have to record, right? If you have to get the balance, you have to take the addition. We have to record, right? You have to maintain 6 columns here. 6 columns like this, right? And the last column is to record the total. Therefore, I'm going to mark it like this. I told you this has to be done in your exams, right? First, transaction number 1. Transaction number 1. Right? What is it? The owner invested 80,000 as capital in the business. But I forgot to tell you something. When you record something in the accounting equation, please make sure that you use the plus and minus signs where necessary. Where anivarema plus and minus signs danna mona. When the value increases, in front of that value, use the plus sign. You have to say, as a result of this transaction, this value, okay, this item increased by this amount. Okay. And if the value decreases, you have to say that as a result of this, right? As a result of this element, this item of the accounting equation is decreased. Do not use brackets, just use the minus sign. Okay, good. Transaction 1, the owner invested 80,000 as capital. Now, once again, let me tell you something, right? This is the asset side. Then you can take the complete or full understanding. And this is the addition of the equity and the liabilities. right? Puta, after each recording, the net impact to the assets should equal to the final impact of the liabilities and the equity. Because we know, we have learned in the last 2 weeks that the addition of the assets equal to the total of liabilities and equity. Are we clear? Great. Now look at this. Transaction number 1, the owner invested 80,000 as capital in the business. Does it affect the asset side? Yes. What is the asset out of these 3? It is cash. You have to say cash plus 80,000. Use the plus sign. Use the plus sign. Right. Now, Buddha, in this Excel format, the plus sign disappears, but you can't remove it. Mame software hakin nigonanne, right? Mokada Excel එක F plus sign වලට plus sign එකට support කරන්නේ, right? So there it is going to be recorded like this, but in your tutorial, a plus sign is a must. Cash plus 80,000. Now think, does this transaction affect the liabilities? No. Who invested this 80,000? The owner, which increases the equity or capital also by 80,000 plus 80,000 to capital. See, the net impact is equal. Asset side increased by 80, right? Liabilities and equity side also increased by 80. Once again, let me remind, check whether you have recorded the plus sign in front of both these values. Okay. Transaction number 2. Purchased office equipment valued 40,000 on cash. Think, what happens? The business has purchased office equipment, which is an asset, using another asset, cash. Okay. Let's record it like this way. As a result of this transaction, office equipment increased by 40,000. Simple maths, right? Plus 40,000 to the office equipment. Now think, does this transaction affects the liabilities? Or is it affecting the equity? No. But what happens? The settlement is done in the asset side itself. Office equipment plus 40, cash minus 40. See, the net impact to the asset side is 0. This side is 0. Harida? Me පැත්තට දෙපැත්තට හැම්බෙලෙම යන්න ඕනේ නෑ පුතා. If the settlement is done in the same side, you can use it. Okay. Number 3. Paid 5,000 as salaries. Right. We have paid this in cash. No? Am I clear with you? So the balance of cash is decreased by 5,000. Because this payment has made in cash. As a result of that, the asset called cash is decreased by 5,000. Cash minus 5. What else? What is salaries to a business? Puta, I think I told you, yes. Dishans, අපිකට කියන පුතේ capital කියලා නෙමෙයි. It is influencing the capital. But salary is an expense. Expense. Can you remember the definition of expense? පුතාලට මතකද definition එක? I told you, expense is anything which decreases equity rather than the right drawings made by the owner. Therefore, this payment is an expense too. Therefore, it decreases the equity by 5,000. No other reason. ඇයි මම මේක මෙතනින් අඩු කරන්නේ? Not because that it is an expense. I reduce it from cash because there is a cash outflow as a result of this transaction. And the reason for this reduction is that outflow is an expense. Okay. Good. Number 4. Obtain a bank loan valued 30,000. Think. The business has obtained a bank loan. When you obtain a bank loan, you receive cash. Therefore, the balance of cash is increased by 30,000. And does it affect any other assets or equity? No. This is something which has been financed by an external party. So it's a liability. As a result of that, liability increased by 30,000. Please use the plus signs both in cash and bank loan. And this is how it records. Okay, plus 30, plus 30. Transaction number 5. Transaction number 5. Right? Transaction number 5. What is it? Purchase goods valued 20,000 on cash. Now, goods means inventory. Again, Puta, the business has purchased. Business has purchased asset using another asset. As a result of this transaction, inventory increased by 20,000. Use the plus sign there, plus 20 on inventory. And cash is decreased by 20,000. No impact on liabilities or equity. Right? Let's get the balance as at 31st January. Balance as at 31st January. Simplify each column. මේ columns ටික simplify කරගන්න. මම නම් මට formula එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන් නේ. පුතේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ දාද්දි බොහොම පරිස්සමෙන්. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට එහෙම කරන්න බෑ. You have to get the addition manually. හරිද? So, this is how the balances right stands as at 31st of January. මේ තියෙන පුතා balances ටික. You can verify your answer. How? Check at the end whether the total of assets, how much is it? 105,000. Total of assets. The balance or the closing balance of office equipment, inventory and cash. It is 105,000. Is equal to the addition of equity and the liabilities. Yes. So then you can decide, okay, my answer is correct. හැබැයි හැම වෙලේම හරියන්නේත් නෑ. No need. So additions, now listen to me. To the totals, no need to put the plus signs. Make a වැඩි වෙන්නේ නෙමෙයිනේ. Right? This is not increased. These are the balances. Do not use plus signs to the balance. Plus and minus signs are used only in here. To the balances, no need to record the plus or minus signs. Are we clear? Good. Now we have another question. What is it? මොකද අපිට තියෙන ඊළඟට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒකම continue වෙනවා පුතා. To get the total assets. Assets, liabilities and equity as at 31st of January. අපි දැන් දන්නවනේ උත්තරේ. මේ බලන්න. Total assets is 105,000. Total of office equipment, inventory and cash. And liabilities 30,000. Capital 75,000. Here we have the closing positions of this business. Right. Any questions, Puta? Anything that you couldn't understand? ඕනම දෙයක් අහන්න මගෙන්. ඇන්ඩ්‍රිනා තේරුණාද? ඔෂානි, බිනෝන්, දිනිත්, ඩිෂන්ස්, දුනිති, ජනිදු, නිවිරු ඉන්නවා නේද? ඔනිත, විභූ and අදීශ. Right. Any questions? නිවිරු තේරුණාද? ජනිදු තේරුණාද පුතා? මේ හරිම ලේසි. Right? හරිම ලේසි. Right. Then let's move to the second one. අපි ළඟකට යමු. හරිද? Right. Question number 2. දැන් මම මේක ටික මෙතන තියෙන වැදගත්ම දෙයක්. හරිද? වැදගත්ම දෙයක් තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේක හොඳට අහගන්න. හරි? හොඳට අහගන්න ඕන පැටියෝ. Right? Now these are the new things that we must learn. Right? Today. දැන් මේවා කටපාඩම් කරගන්න ඕන දේවල්. හරිද? Right. It tells you credit purchase of goods. Credit purchase of goods. Right? Generates, please highlight this or circle it. මෙන්න මේක highlight කරගන්න. Right? මේක මතක තියාගන්න. Credit purchases, not cash. Credit purchases of goods. Here, the goods means inventory. Okay. Inventory. Generates a liability. Credit purchase of goods generates a liability called, write this down with a red pen, creditors. Creditors. Okay. Once again, credit purchases of goods, not any other assets. Credit purchases of goods generates a liability called creditors. Creditors. The other side, once again, credit sales of goods generate asset. Credit sale එකෙන් එන්නේ asset එකක් with a red pen. The name of that asset is called as debtors. D-E-B-T-O-R-S. How it is pronounced? Not debtors, debtors. Debtors. තග්ගාලා ලියාගන්න. Something very important. අද දවසේ ඉන්න කලින් පාඩම් කරන්න ඕන. Credit purchasers generates a liability named creditors, while credit sales generates an asset called debtors. Debtors. Okay, good. හරිද පැටියෝ? හොඳයි. ඔන්න එහෙනම් අපි යමු ඊළඟ ගානට. I'm going to erase it. Good. Activity number 2. Sorry, 20. Nihal Pereira started a business on 1st January 2022. Following transactions have taken place in the business during the month ending 31st January 2022. හරිද? ඔන්න ඕකයි අපිට දීලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? Now there are 10 transactions. Just read them personally. ටක් ගාලා කියව ගන්න transactions ටික. ටක් ගාලා ඔක් කියව ගන්න. පුතේ ටක් ගාලා transactions ටික කියව ගන්න. ඉක්මනට කියව ගන්න. Have you finished? Have you finished? Good. Let me share the worksheet. ඔන්න අර වගේ මම පුතාට තේරෙන්න ඇඳලා තියෙනවා මේක. හරිද? Now this is the accounting equation which you have to draw if you get a question which is similar to this format in your term tests and also in O levels. So don't color it. මේ කවුරුත් පාට කරන්න යන්න එපා. මම නිකන් මේවට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මම කිව්වේ. And in this question do you see they have given right the format like this. අපිට කලින් දුන්නේ මොකක් කියලාද මේ? Assets equals liabilities plus equity. Now here they have given ඕක මෙහෙම මාරු වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් නේ. Assets equals equity plus liabilities. Don't be afraid. Sometimes do you know in A levels they record equity liability එහෙමත් ලියනවා in A levels. Equity plus liabilities they record them at first. Then it is equal to assets, right? Who knows? It can be changed in O levels also maybe, right? Now the thing is this. After recording, what are the basic things that you have to remember? Whenever the value increases, I have to use a plus sign in front of the value. If the value decreases, I have to use a minus sign in front of the value. After every transaction, after every recording, I have to check whether the net impact on assets is equal to the net impact on liabilities and equity. Okay. It is all about recognizing the correct value under the correct column. First one, owner introduced 180,000 as capital in the business. What happens? Assets. Does it affect influencing assets? Yes. What is the asset? Cash. As a result of this, cash is increased by 180,000 plus 180 on cash. Nothing. Is it affecting any other assets? No. Is it affecting liabilities? No. This fund has been introduced to the business by the owner. That increases his equity, right? That is capital 180,000 plus 180 plus 180. කවුරුත් මේවා කලර් කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ ටියුට් එකේ. හරි. මම මේ දුන්නේ පුතාට මේක තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන හින්දා. Right? Number 2, purchased furniture valued 80,000 on cash. Think. Where is it influencing? දැන් මොකද්ද කරේ අපි? We have purchased one asset, furniture, using another asset, cash. Right? Furniture, as a result of this, furniture asset increased by 80,000. Use plus 80 there. Does it affect the equity or on the liabilities? No. Why? We have purchased one asset using another asset, that is cash. Cash minus 80. Minus 80 on cash. See how simple it is. No impact on the liabilities and equity, but the net impact is equal. Assets, net impact is 0. This side also it is 0. Number 3, purchased goods valued 30,000 on cash. දැන් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? Again the same result, but it increases a separate asset called inventory. Inventory plus 30,000. Okay. And cash minus 30,000. තේරුණාද? No impact on equity or on any of the liabilities given. Look at the next one. හොඳට බලන්න පුතා. The owner invested his personal motor vehicle valued 120,000 as capital. Think. What happens here? What should happen here? An asset called motor vehicle should increase. Why? It's a new asset, right? So you have to say plus 120 in motor vehicles. As a result of this transaction, motor vehicle increased. Then kalpana kara. Is it influencing cash of the business? මේකින්ද business එකේ cash අඩු වෙනවද? Think. No. The business hasn't purchased this. Therefore, no influence on cash or any other liability. It was introduced by the owner. So as a result of that, the equity has to be increased by 120. මම කරන දේවල් තේරෙනවද ඔයාලට? As a result of this, the capital or equity plus 120. It has not been purchased by the owner. It was not purchased by the business. It was introduced to the business by the owner, which increases the equity of the owner. Plus 120 and plus 120. Today, after the class, after completing all these activities, please send me your answers books. I'll write a tutorial. I want to go through them. Compulsory, okay? I want to check whether you have recorded them correctly. The plus signs, minus signs, where necessary. I told you in Excel sheet, the plus sign is not supporting, but when you write it manually, it is compulsory to use the plus sign where it necessary. Okay. Transaction number 5. Transaction number 5. Right, number 5. පුතේ sold goods valued ඔන්න එක highlight කරගන්න. Highlight it. Highlight that transaction number 5. Sold goods valued rupees 20,000 for 40,000 on cash. ඔන්න අලුත් දෙයක්. හැබැයි අප අහලා බලමු මම හිතන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක දන්නවා. හරිද? Let me share the whiteboard. Right. පුතේ මම මෙහෙම දෙයක් ඔයාලට කියලා දුන්නා මතකද? I told you, right? I told you there is a method to calculate the profit. How to calculate the profit of a business? Anyone who has studied the previous sessions? There is a method to calculate the profit of the business. How to calculate profit? No one has studied. Duniti? Dinet? ඔන්න එක උත්තරයක් එනවා. හරියට හරි දුනිති ඔය තියෙන්නේ විභු මතකද පුතා මං කිව්වා. පුතේ profit always equals දැන් බය වෙන්න එපා හරිම ලේසි. Profit of a business equals to this one year's ජනිදු. That is how income minus expenses. ඕනනම් මේවා කැමති තැනක ලියා ගන්න. හරිද? Income minus expenses. Right? And do you know this profit belongs to the owner? මේක අයිති කාටද? belongs to the owner. Therefore, the profit should be added to the capital. Capital. Right? Profit is added to the capital. Then, what about loss? Hadisiyat loss එකක් આવොත් මොකද කරන්නේ? If the profit is added to the owner's equity, lamai, what we should do for the losses? Listen to me. If you have noticed the loss, that should be deducted from the capital or equity. Right? Now, in this transaction, we have to recognize the profit. The profit. What is the transaction? What is the transaction? We have sold, right? Sold goods worth 20,000 for rupees 40,000 on cash. On cash. හරිද මම මේක නිකන් කියලා දෙන්න මේක නිකන් අමාරු නම් ඒක මතක තියාගන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. හරිද? But let me teach it like this way. හරියට මුලින්දලා ගියොත් අපි වැඩි හරිම ලේසි. පුතා, this 40,000 is recognized as the sales income. It is the selling price. Therefore, in this formula, I can replace 40,000 here. That is the income. When you have sold inventory worth 20,000 for 40,000 on cash, that 40,000 can be recognized as the income, but that is not the profit. මේ දෙක වෙනස්නේ. මේ කවුරුත් මේක එකට පාවිච්චි කරන්න එපා. Income is different with the profit. Understood? Then නිකන් හිතන්නකෝ. පුතේ, this becomes the expense. මෙතන ලොකු කතන්දරයක් තියෙනවා දැනට ඒක ඕනේ. මේ තමයි expense එක. So reduce it. 20,000. Then what is the profit? Profit එක කීයද ටක් ගාලා හදලා කිය? What is the profit? නිකන් practical හිතලා කියන්න පුතා. Profit is how much? Janidu? Additions? Very lazy. If income is 40,000, expense is 20,000, Duniti, Tavinya Payalu, Oshani, Dinet, Binan, Niviru, Vibu, Adisha, Kolotika, Vedakarandona, then Kameli Kamat in the Behe, right? Mankiwane, Mama Pavichikarani, 1 hour. That is more than enough to me. A paya Harrieta then. Because I know, right, at this age, right, ඔයාගේ වයසේදී පුතා online class එකක් වුණත් පැයකට වඩා කරන්න අමාරුයි. It is very hard for you to stay in one place. I know that. Therefore, but when you are in the class, give your maximum attention. Right? Therefore, puta, how much is the profit? Yes. Profit is 20,000. Who belongs that? That belongs to the owner. Therefore, it should be added to the capital. බලාගන්න මං කරන දේ. හරිද? Right. මම හිතනවා මේක හිමීට පස්සේ බෙල්ල දැනක ලියා ගන්න ඕන මේ transaction එකේ explanation එක විදියට. Let me share the worksheet. ආගන්න පැටියෝ. හරිම ලේසි. හරිද? Number 5. Sold goods value 20,000. As a result of this, do you understand the balance of inventory is decreased by 20,000? Why? We have sold, right, inventory worth 20,000. As a result of that, the asset called inventory decreased. Inventory kadu wenawa. And we have sold this on cash. As a result of this, the balance of cash is increased by 40,000. 40,000. Now, the net impact on the asset side is plus 20. I told you something. What do you call that 20,000? Profit. Who belongs that profit? The owner. Therefore, that 20,000 is added to the equity. This is the profit, plus 20, okay, plus 20. Now, do you see? The equation is tallied. Do you understand that particular transaction? Oshani, Andrina, Onita, Janidu, Tirunada Mamme Kiyapudi. Right, perfect. Perfect. Then Tirunada, me amaru deval nime honda meet wada amaru devalwa karala tinewa. Danuth karanawa. Maths, science. Ewath එක බලද්දි මේ මොනවදනේ? නේද? Just pay a little concentration and give a small commitment and see. You can end up with an A pass for this subject. Right? Good. Number 6. හැබැයි මේ ටික අදම ආපහු පාරක් බලන්න ඕන. You to go through this particular right activities again on the same day. Right? Number 6, Puta. Transaction number 6. Purchase goods valued 50,000 on credit. Can you remember I told you something in here? Check what you have written here, Puta. Credit purchases of goods. What happens as a result of it? It increases a liability called what? Creditors. Creditors. So this is how we have to record it. Then hagan. Pute, we have purchased, right, goods valued 50,000 on credit. Again, as a result of this transaction, Puta, inventory increased by 50,000. Do you agree with me? Inventory plus 50. Use the plus sign. Now think. Does it influence the cash? No. Why? It was not purchased right on cash. It was purchased on credit. Now, what I've told you there. Credit purchases of goods increases a liability called creditors. Therefore, we have, as a result of this transaction, we have to say, liability called creditor is also increased by 50,000. Inventory plus 50, creditors plus 50. Okay. Number 7. Obtain a bank loan valued 60,000. Cash plus 60. Then another liability, but this time the name of the liability is bank loan increased by 60. Plus 60 and plus 60 on bank loan. Number 8. Sold goods valued 30,000 for 60,000 on credit. Okay. Puta, metana vecha demai venni. Now, let me tell you what has happened here. Right? Same thing. Same thing. But, okay. As a result of this, right, what we have done, Puta, we have sold goods valued 30,000 for 60,000 on cash. Sorry, on credit. Now, here, right? Give a minute. We have sold inventory worth 30,000 for 60,000 on credit. But do you know, right? It is true that we have sold this on credit. Make credit sale. But listen to me, This impact is always there. Mehkat hari, right? Sorry. Right? The same impact is found. That 30,000 is recognized as an expense, 60,000 is income. Therefore, don't ever think that all the income should be received in cash. Even the credit sales is recognized as income. As a result of this, do you know what happens? We have recognized this 60,000 again as income. To recognize something as an income, there should not recognize the cash inflow always. Because there are incomes without a cash inflow. That is the nature in accounting. And once again, expense is 30. But this time, right, it's a credit sale. Profit is 30,000, same rule of principle. It belongs to the owner, add that to the equity. Right? Good. Let me take you to the Excel sheet again. This is what happens. We have sold 30,000 worth inventory. Inventory minus 30,000. Now think, it is a credit sale. I told you something here. Check your answers. Check your tutorial. I told you credit sale of goods generate an asset called what? As a result of the credit sales, what increases, Lamai? What happens? Yes, it increases an asset called debtors. That is why I have given you a column to record the debtors. There is no influence on cash. As a result of this transaction, business doesn't receive cash, but it increases a separate asset called debtors plus 60,000 debtors. Plus 60, okay? Now simplify this. Asset side net impact is 30, and that 30 is recognized as the profit which belongs to the owner plus 30,000 to capital. Huh? Okay. Transaction number 9. Number 9. Okay. Paid 15,000 as the rent of the business. Paid 15,000. Cash will give a cash decreased by 15,000 because there is a cash outflow, and that payment is an expense relevant to the business. So capital, right? I think I told you that previously also. Capital decreased by 15,000 because it's an expense. Expense. The last one. The owner withdrew 8,000 for his personal use. The owner's personal expenses are settled by the business. This transaction is called as drawing. Drawings. Transaction number 10. The name that we give for this transaction is a drawing of the owner. Remember, drawings is not an expense. Right? Not an expense, but it decreases the equity. Drawings is not an expense. Anyway, it decreases the equity. How it is done? How it is done? The owner withdrew 8,000 for his personal use. Cash. Cash minus 8,000 and it's a drawing. Drawing decreases equity by 8,000. This 15,000 is an expense, but this is not an expense. It's a drawing. Drawing. තේරුණාද පැටියෝ? ඔන්න අපි සිම්ප්ලිෆයි කරගන්නවා කොලම්ස් ටික දැන්. පුතේ දැන් මම ගණන් දෙකක් දෙන හෝම්වර්ක් විදිහට පුතාලා එක තනියම හදන්න ඕනේ. හරි? right? තනියම හදන්න ඕන. මේකෙන් ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් එක ගන්න. Now this is how the equation stands. හරිද? Quickly verify your answer. The total of assets 437,000. Total assets. Since I'm using Excel sheet, it is very simple for me to get the additions. But when you do it manually, right? Please make sure that you take the correct additions, huh? Because additions have been taught to you in grade 4 and 5. You all went to the primary, right? And the equity and the liabilities, the total is 437,000. The equation is correct. Now we have the same question here. Non-current assets, current assets, equity, non-current liabilities, current liabilities. Non-current assets, current assets, right? Equity, non-current liabilities, and current liabilities. According to this format, what are the non-current assets we have? Highlight karna me vidiyata. Me tiyenne non-current assets. What are they? Furniture and motor vehicles. At the end of the month, the addition of the non-current assets is how much? 200,000. මේකත් highlight කරගන්න ඕනේ නම් මේ ටික ඔය විදිහට highlight කරගන්න. Okay පුතා. Then current assets. Here we have the current assets according to this question. Current assets. How much is the total? What are the examples of current assets here? Inventory is a current asset. Debtor is a current asset. Cash is also a current asset. The addition is puta 237,000. That is the addition of the current asset. Current assets. Then equity. We have only one equity in the accounting equation. And that is 327,000. It is the balance of equity at the end of the period. There are liabilities, but one is a current liability and the other one is a non-current liability. Non-current liability is 60,000. 60,000. 60,000. Finally, the current liability is the balance of the creditor. It is 50,000. If you can remember the definitions, you can easily understand, right, this particular impact. Non-current liabilities, non-current assets, current assets, equity, and right current liabilities. Harida? Right. Now I'm going to give you a small challenge. හැබැයි පුතා මතක තියාගන්න මොකද සමහර ළමයි මෙතන 90ක් 95ක්ම මට උත්තර ටික එවනවා. හැබැයි සමහර ළමයින්ගේ අකුරු මොන වගේද කියනවත් මම දන්නේ නැහැ. So if parents are listening, right, listen to me, I can't do this alone. Because you also have to act a part here. Check whether your child is answering this question and send them to me for corrections. Harida? Right. So let's move to the tutorial. Please mark these activities as homework. Next week kata karna puta. But I want to see that before. Question number 21 and question number 22. ඔය දෙක homework වලට කරගන්න. හරිද? I'm actually with you. Question numbers 21 and question number 22. Homework වලට කරන්න. Are we clear? Definitely only මම recording අනිවාර්යෙන් පුතාට දෙනවා. බය වෙන්න එපා හොඳේ. අනිවාර්යෙන්ම දෙනවා. හරිද? Right. Okay then. I think we had a very useful session today. And Puta, if you have time, why don't you do these two activities now before the breakfast? Puluwanni, it won't take much time. The formats have been given, but I told you in exams, the formats will not provided to you. You must draw them. Right? So please practice it separately. But here it is very simple. Once again, use the plus sign when the value increases, minus when the value decreases. Remember that. Okay, good. Then that's all for today. So on the next week, we will continue this particular competency. And children, I was planning to start that physical class, right? Samar lamai alien lawainut maging hawenna. Please inform your friends that the physical class will be started on next week probably. Right? Mokada me vidira karanna bahane pute. And it is going to be a speed class because we have to cover up 1 year syllabus with 9 months. Anyway, we started here on last December. Now we have enough time, right? So it is a challenge for me also, but don't be afraid. Tell them that I'm going to complete the syllabus in time, right? Right? I'll be using the multimedia projectors and everything to give you the best output. And if you have friends, iskole alu innona, morutu patte vitarai habaye. Anit ay bayo nepa. The online class will be continued. Some said that I'm going to stop the online class. No. Online class is moved as usual. Right? Don't be afraid. I will never stop the online classes. But for the students around in Moratu and Panadura, they can, right, come and join the physical class if they like. If you have your friends, right, the handbill is there. Please send it, share it in among your groups, right? And give me a small support to market my class, right? Okay, then thank you very much. Until we meet again on next week, stay safe. God bless you. Have a good day.